What's up, everybody? Another edition of the Robin Lundberg Show here with you today. A lot of stuff I want to get to today. Some stuff happened since I titled the show, and it's always tough to title the show and then scramble with new topics. I can always make separate videos and the like, but because I know Fever fans are thirsty, let me show you a little Fever footage hot off the presses. First of all, because it just did come in. The Indiana Fever dropping some Brianna Turner and Caitlin Clark workout footage, as you can see right here. And, yesterday I had some people say, you never talk about things Caitlin Clark can work on or get better on. You know what Caitlin Clark can really get better at? Driving to her left and fading to her right on her shots. On her threes, she fades to the left every time, and she drives to the right every time when she's trying to get to the basket. You see her working on that here in some of this footage. I also think Brianna Turner is going to be a big addition for the Fever in the sense that she can catch and finish. That was something they were lacking last year. But I'll talk about that more a little bit later. As far as what we're going to discuss, one thing I wanted to get into was some ratings talk to get to a broader point. One aspect of that was Unrivaled, and Unrivaled released some numbers today. I want to send a message. First of all, I really cannot stand when people just actively root against Unrivaled. There is no purpose to actively rooting against Unrivaled. Why would anyone want it to fail? It makes no sense, right? Like if it's people who are saying, Caitlin Clark is a needle mover, the Fever needle movers, whatever. I mean, Clark specifically, duh. Like everybody already knows that, right? But all Unrivaled is a positive attempted venture to get women paid in the offseason, to create another entertainment opportunity, to showcase more of the players in the league. And let me congratulate Unrivaled on a first season because it's difficult. It's difficult for anybody to get through an inaugural season of anything because you don't know how things are going to go. You don't know what might go wrong. Any of those things. And I'm not overstating it. I'm not saying they set the world on fire or anything like that. They put out the PR statement. Anytime you can say up 99% over your regular season average, I don't know if, that looks great and everything, but it shows you some of the regular season may have gone down from the beginning. I thought they did a good job capturing people's attention to start. I thought more people came in at the end. Obviously, congrats to Rose BC on winning the championship. The longer the league stays around, the more seasons it has, the more meaning the first championship will have in retrospect. The one-on-one tournament was a success, and the NBA was looking to copy that. So salute to Unrivaled on a successful first season, which gets me to the NCAAW ratings. There were the All-America teams out today as well. I really can't argue with most of the picks on the NCAA All-America teams. I mean, you could say Madison Booker shouldn't have been first team and it should have been Anissa Morrow instead or something along those lines. But I really think it's nitpicky. But there was a clip from Bomani Jones that I wanted to play for a second because it helps me illustrate the point and get into some of the larger points we're going to discuss as well. Before I bring on a guest, we got a guest today. He's waiting in the queue. I see him. I think it could be very interesting and fun and spirited. We'll get to that in a second. But this was a clip from Bomani's show, The Right Time with Bomani Jones about NCAA ratings.
It felt kind of like the buzz around women's college basketball did not sustain in the way that I thought it would coming off of last season. I watched that Big Ten final in Indianapolis between UCLA and USC. UCLA put the clamps on USC, but it was just like, I was wondering, did we keep this going? I posed the question to Perplexity, and I got to say, they gave a pretty thorough synopsis here. They have an overall viewership increase that's up 3% from last year. ESPN, the numbers were down until February. Then they had a nice run of games that took things over the top. This is without Caitlin Clark. So without the phenomenon, they got a slight uptick in the ratings. And the reason I bring that up is people are still watching, but the push isn't the same without Caitlin Clark. I think the lesson you can learn here is if the people are still watching, you can't make somebody another Caitlin Clark, but you kind of can. Like, Caitlin Clark doesn't happen entirely organically. There's a push. I don't feel like the Paige Beckers or Juju push was anything close to the same. What Angel Reese did, she created what people truly need, which is a rivalry. Having the players is one thing. She made a rivalry where there wasn't one. Somebody gonna need to go do this. Somebody got to knock Juju out the sky. Juju got to hit somebody in the eye with an elbow. It ain't necessarily got to be a white girl, but it got to be somebody. Gonna be honest with you. If it was a white girl, it would help. Just for the numbers here. I'm being cynical about the situation. Not saying you should elbow the white girl. Maybe let the white girl elbow you. I don't know. But people are watching. I am a little surprised there's not more of a push.
See, I disagree with a few things. We're going to get to the Angel Reese aspect of that in just a second. But I disagree with a few things Bomani said there. And by the way, just a little story time for me. The first time I was ever on Mike and Mike, I hosted Mike and Mike with Mike Gold Jr. It was the day that Bomani wore the Caucasians shirt with the old Cleveland Indians logo on it, which got all the attention that day. I've actually hung out with Bomani since then. Got nothing but respect. This is just a disagreement on the content of what he's saying, which is, number one, those stats are incorrect. Because, yes, the ESPN viewership is up 3% off of last year. But to put it in the context of Caitlin Clark is silly because the Big Ten doesn't have an ESPN contract. I think there was one Caitlin Clark game on ESPN last year. So the numbers being up from last year on ESPN don't really say anything about Caitlin Clark. With that said, women's college basketball is booming. It is booming. It is popular. People are watching. Millions of people are watching. And there is a push. I hear about Juju Watkins and Paige Beckers every single day. There is not a day goes by I don't hear about Juju Watkins and Paige Beckers. I mean, the idea of making another Caitlin Clark, it reminds me of the, everybody saying they may Hove. I'm saying, okay, make another Hove, right? Like, I don't know about that because you see what's going on with the Fever and the Road Show. Even the Dallas Wings move, people could say, well, Paige Beckers is going there. There's a common denominator to the Wings doing it and the Mystics doing it and the Sky doing it and the Dream doing it, right? Like that demand, is a unique phenomenon. But at the same time, the wave continues. The wave continues. And that's why I got a Hoopin Havoc bracket right now. Join my Hoopin Havoc contest. Sparket's hosting it. It's in the description. You can enter the contest, see if you can pick better than me. There is a lot of hype around March Madness. There is a lot of hype about NCAA women's basketball. But I think we can move past, part of this is we can move past the crutch of seeing everything through the lens of Caitlin Clark. And now I know I talk about Caitlin Clark all the time, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about when you are talking about other things. To that point, he is correct that there is a rivalry with Angel Reese, or whatever you want to call it. There is a connection with Angel Reese. And yesterday, I talked about Angel Reese on the show a little bit, and there was a lot of comments and a lot of feedback, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to dub it, whatever. So I thought it was a good idea to bring on an unabashed, I think he would be fairly described as a Reese's piece. We've got AJ, little name. I'll name this X on later, right? That's the
still haven't figured out my name yet.
Yeah, there you go. But I've interacted with you a few times on X, and you've always been mad respectful. And I went and checked out your videos yesterday, and I liked your Angel Reese support videos. So I thought it'd be fun to chop it up a little bit. And first of all, let me get your reaction to what I had to say and the comments about what I had to say from a Reese fan perspective.
I think it's more so just the extreme part about it, because I think Trae Young said it, like the congratulations needs to be as loud as the hate. And so the thing is, we can't even pick out an athlete that's hated more than Angel right now, if we're going to be honest. Maybe LeBron, it could have been Ben Simmons, but no, right now it's her. You can Google her name in Google and see all kind of madness, right? And so it's just like, if she has a moment, we're going to act a fool about that moment because we see so much hate. Like, just like you were talking about Unrivaled. I love Unrivaled. Not because the Rose win, not because Angel was. I just love it. It keeps us watching women's basketball throughout the year.
Well, there's no downside.
But
There's no downside.
The discredit is, it's just Unrivaled. But then, we're taking lowlights and making it such a big thing that the lowlights are there when somebody wins, it's quiet. It's not a big deal.
But that was, I mean, that was my intended premise, was that with Angel Reese, it's extremes where you go on, you scroll through and you're seeing people mocking her and making fun of her, or just putting out fake quotes.
Yeah.
While at the other side, maybe it's overcompensation from the fans to like prop and be loud about stuff. So that was kind of the point I was trying to make.
I got it.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, like Reese fans, I'm not intentionally doing this, but like they think I qualify something I'm saying. Or let me put it this way about Angel Reese. Her motor is special. Like her ability to go and get the basketball is special. I think she makes every team that's ever existed better. She's the kind of player that can go on any team and get better. But what do they say? Comparison is the thief of joy, right? So I feel like when it's measured up specifically against Caitlin Clark, and you wind up talking about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese at the same time, then maybe the nitpick, or not even say nitpicking, but the criticism gets a little bit harsher because you're focusing on the flaws more.
Right. But that's the thing too, as a Reese's piece or whatever you want to call it, our fan base is, if you really, really bunker down and pay attention, it's a lot of we just want to praise who we like. But the minute you praise who you like, somebody's coming in, and then that's when the comparisons come in and happen. But honestly, if you really just ask, if you go back and forth and say, ask an Angel Reese fan, what don't you like about Caitlin Clark? What's the answer every time?
An Angel Reese fan?
Yeah, ask an Angel Reese fan, what don't you like about Caitlin Clark? They're not going to say anything but her fans are crazy. Her fans are this, her fans are that. So
everybody's fans are crazy. But
there's only one that is just to the next level.
But she has more fans. That's what, I mean, the truth of the matter, she has more fans than anybody else.
That's debatable.
I don't think that's debatable. Like, I don't think that is debatable.
Fans or more fans?
I think more basketball fans specifically. Okay. I mean, but how do you measure fans? But there's only one player who is drawing the ratings that she's drawing. There is only one player that is forcing the venue changes that she is forcing. I just don't know how anybody could say there is anybody that has more fans than Caitlin Clark.
No, I'm just saying those are basketball fans. So you're right, right? Nobody's doing it like her. And from the other side, we love it. Keep growing this thing, especially me. I've been watching since Sharday Houston is a friend of mine. I grew up watching her in high school. We're the same age. Wiggins from San Diego. So I've been watching. I want this sport to go to the next level. And so we're happy that this is happening, but it doesn't have to happen at the downfall of other people. That's the problem, is like any praise that goes here, it's got to be stepping on other people's head to do that. And it's just like not fair. But I'm not saying it comes for you, but that's the thing that most people are upset about, is just like, like the whole thing, everything has to be the Caitlin Clark effect. Even when Angel Reese and Asia Wilson had 1.3 million viewers at their watching their game, right?
Yes.
It's the Caitlin Clark effect. It's just like, can these women have their moment too?
No. I mean, like, I hear you. And one of the things I said at the beginning of the year was that I think it could be off-putting when people are saying it's only Caitlin Clark and everybody else is trash. But to stick up for the broader fan base for a second, because you got to remember, you're always having, like what I was saying yesterday when I started, I knew I would get yelled at by both fan bases, because when I talk positive about Angel Reese, like Caitlin Clark, some of the, not Caitlin Clark fans at large, but some of them just get mad because they're always going to hate Angel Reese. And then the Angel Reese fans don't think I'm talking positively enough, or they think I'm doing it to check a box or something. I don't know what the case exactly is when I've been talking hoops and ball my whole damn life and my whole damn career.
I remember you from the moment with the t-shirt. I remember that. So you've been talking hoops for a long time.
So that part of it is one thing, but I will stick up for the Fever and Clark fans at large, because I've watched this journey and I've seen so many of them stick. Because when I wind up talking about Unrivaled, or I wind up talking about NCAA women's basketball, or the Liberty and the Lynx in the finals, it's a lot of the Clark and Fever fans who I see interacting and talking about it too. So I don't think it's fair to say that they are doing, they're saying it's only Clark. I think you're talking about, like, a part of the pie graph, like with anything else, like the Reese's Pieces who will attack me sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. It's on every fan base is going to have each type of bracket of fan. So I agree that it can happen from every end. But my main point was just like everything has to be around this one person in their mind. You've seen a graphic from the WNBA. If she's not in the middle, and it's just like, bro, this is a graphic celebrating the women of the sport. And it's just like that kind of stuff is like, all right, I've never seen like this type of stuff happen.
But did you not think people went out of their way to also not give her credit at times where sometimes you felt like her name was Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese? Or I would call it the WNBA reverence tax, where you couldn't mention Caitlin Clark without saying, but you have to remember what Cynthia Cooper did for the Houston Comets, or Cheryl Swoops, or Lisa Leslie, or whatever the case may be.
And that's fair, but it honestly happens both ways too. Like they are just gonna be this. They're gonna be LeBron and Curry. They're gonna be Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. That's just what it's gonna be. So, but I think we're just gonna have to accept it and let it just be that. But there's no comparison. Don't get me wrong. Like if you look at Angel Reese, she's special. What she did in her rookie year compared to every other rookie of the year is on par. It's on par. Except for one. And Caitlin's the outlier, and she won. She had that. But we're not going to say that Angel was bad or she had both. She's a rookie. She's going to have things to adjust to just as well as Caitlin does. Just as well as who else was a rookie? Cardosa, Cam Brink, RJ. They all had things to work on. It's just the Angel Reese's pieces are tired of her being the solo person, because there's one low light video, I've seen it, of Caitlin Clark having like 12 turnovers, and they were all her fault. Like one of them was like a botched pass, and that thing had like 500 views. And that's the problem, is one person is isolated and singled out for their shortcomings. And you're saying it's because of comparison, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think about the comparison. I think this person is disliked for one moment she had when she was 19. We're going to sit there and terrorize her for the rest of her. She gets a burger, and now the burger is a meme. Like, what? We can't now it's belittled too. Like, oh my gosh, it's just a McDonald's. I'm like, that's a big deal to be the first woman to get that.
Oh, no. Look, Angel Reese is tremendously successful. Angel Reese is a star. Angel Reese is an awesome basketball player. Angel Reese did have a phenomenal rookie season. I think all of those things are true. Pushing back on a couple things you said there. You're right. People do hang on to the low light, and they do because they've made an engagement thing out of it, and it has been, and it's certain outlets too, right? Because a lot of the women's basketball discourse, I have a bit that I like to do. On one hand, you have the side that's like, nobody in the league matters except for Caitlin Clark, and everybody is trash but Caitlin Clark, and no one would care about this league if it weren't for Caitlin Clark. And then the other side is like, well, you can't really credit Caitlin Clark for this because you have to also make sure that you pay respect to the Aces and the Liberty and everybody that's come before, and it got hijacked by the carnival barkers. And I think you see a similar type of outlet or a similar type of personality continuing to push the Angel Reese lowlights, right? Mm-hmm. Rewinding for a second, you're right. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese will be linked. This is part of it. They came in at the same time. There's other dynamics. There's the Rookie of the Year race that lasted forever. But that's a good thing to me. I mean, I think rivalries and when you look forward to a Fever and Sky game, that is interesting and gets people excited. Let me ask you directly, though, like, where do you compare Clark and Reese as players, as an Angel Reese fan?
I put Clark, people are not going to like this, Clark is in that top 1 to 10-ish. I think all those could kind of intertwine. We'll see how the rosters lay out, but she's up there. And Angel is in the next bracket down, and she's battling with a lot of other players in that next bracket. But Clark is in a different bracket in my mind, which I think is fine to say. She's in a higher tier of bracket. She was in the MVP race. The stats show it. She's up there. She's elite. Go ahead. Do
you think the shortcoming also is the same? Like, so Clark had turnovers, right? She did lead the league, and she had more. The fact of the matter is, Caitlin Clark turned the ball over more than anyone who ever lived in a season. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. But she also had more assists than anyone ever, and she produced more points than anyone ever. Do you think that is a false equivalency at all with not finishing around the rim as a big, and really not even just as a big, but as a player within 5 feet statistically?
I think it's more even than most people think it is. If we go through it, some of those losses, some of those games were caused by Caitlin Clark, just as much as you can say the same thing happened with Angel Reese. There's equivalent, because what my point is, when people talk about the shooting percentage or missing close to the rim, if you really look at it and her getting her own rebounds, that's still most of the time a net positive possession that comes from it.
Well, as long as you score, get fouled, or anything, it doesn't matter how the. I mean, I feel like Reese's rebounds could come down slightly, and her efficiency could go up slightly. But I agree with you. You're supposed to follow.
The name of the game is get the ball and score. Now, if you take 10 attempts, as long as the other team doesn't score in between you getting the ball and scoring, that's the name of the game, right? So I that's why her plus minus ratings were always a positive. She was never net negative. And so for you to turn the ball over to the other team is actually giving them another opportunity. And so if we cut down half of the I understand usage rates and all that stuff, but if we cut down the turnovers to half and we raise the field goal percentage to half, we're looking at both persons getting better, right?
I could also argue that a lot of Clark's best games came when she turned the ball over a lot because she was being more aggressive with the ball. Like, she's trying to make things happen. She has the ball a lot. LeBron is the all-time leader in turnovers. Luka led the NBA in turnovers last year. I mean, I think players who control the ball a lot and are tasked with playmaking that often are going to turn the ball over a lot. So I guess I just never latched unless when I see a bad turn. I referenced the one against the Storm. When I see an unforced turnover that happens at a big moment, that's one thing. But I just feel like turnovers are kind of the nature of doing what she does versus I don't think not finishing around the rim is the nature of doing what a big does, if that makes sense.
But that's all within that sounds good, but within the actual game, not finishing and getting it again and then finish it is not a net negative.
I agree with that too. I agree with that. You're taught to follow your shot from when you're a little kid.
Angel Reese does everything your coach told you to do when you're little. She doesn't play hard, follow your shot, rebounds win rings, defense wins championships. She does those small, intricate things that we all ignore. She unfortunately does it well. So she misses the shot, follow your shot, and get the score. So they're not necessarily 100% equal, but it's really, really similar, in my opinion, to being the turnover queen and the missed shot queen. I see it being similar, and their results have showed it.
Look, I can't argue. I mean, well, their results didn't show it last year.
One played one round and didn't get any success on it. I don't have a problem.
Okay, but there was a big difference in the record
because what happens in the playoffs is what happens. Everything tightens up, and now everything's magnetized.
But one of the players was in the playoffs, and the other player was not in the playoffs.
Okay, she said. I understand, but I'm saying so. Let's take away half of the turnovers per game. Do they make it to the championship? Likely.
No, their team wasn't good enough. I think they need, just like in Angel's defense, Angel needed more perimeter shot creation, right? Like once they lost Marina Mabry and, Kennedy Carter was obviously something was going on there. I really do always try to be fair. So I'm not going to just sit here and say like Angel Reese's team, it fell off the map because she's on all the numbers showed they were better with her on the floor. But I don't think you can look at the improvement that the Fever made relative to their draft position versus the record of the Sky and then like blame Clark in the playoffs when she's the one that elevated her team to the playoffs.
You froze on me. I missed the last part. You froze up.
That's all right. Let me ask you one last question before you can hang out and be here for the questions or not.
They have one point with the forcing, like she forced it and it makes it better in his turnovers.
Yeah.
But that does not always result in wins. So having 25, 10 assists, 7 turnovers in your team lost.
Where is the losing? What is the losing we're talking about? I mean, they went to the championship back-to-back years in college. Yes, they lost I get it, but they're winning way more. And then they went to the playoffs in her first year.
They didn't go undefeated.
Well, of course, I'm not saying.
You said where's the losing? There was.
But the way you framed that was as if they were losing. Or she's been a loser in her career or something.
I wasn't trying to frame that at all. I'm just saying there was losses that was on her side just as much as there was losses on the other side because of forcing the issue. I'm going too fast. My big man's not set up, and I'm throwing a lob. She's not ready. Yeah. Is that just not as bad as missing your layup if you're throwing the ball over the person's head because they're not set?
If you just are turning the ball over unforced. I don't think that was the majority of the turn, but how
was those turnovers caused?
I think it's a combination of things. I think sometimes you're getting your pocket picked, like Dejanay Carrington picked her pocket. Sometimes
that's my girl.
Sometimes it's an unforced turnover, like the one against the Storm I referenced. Sometimes it's she's outletting the ball and somebody drops it and doesn't handle it, or, there was plenty of turnovers like that. And then sometimes it's just a function of trying to make a play happen. Somebody gets a hand on the ball. I mean, all sorts of things can result in turnovers. I mean, LeBron just had an 10, 11 turnover game the other day in the NBA. Like that. That's what happens with people who have the ball every single time, every single possession. And I would argue she's so far outproduced her turnovers when you talk about points and assists that it's kind of silly to harp on the turnovers.
But where's that same narrative on the other side? When everything outside of the missed field goals we're talking about, what is it?
But I think that's what's keeping Angel from being I think at where Angel is now, she's like a super high level. I get yelled at when I used
all-star. She's an all-star.
She was an all-star, 100%. She played great. She played great in the all-star game too, because I think her game fits well with everybody. So that is fair. But I think that one specific thing, aside from I think she can add a lot to her game too, to continue to take steps up. But the easiest way for her to leap and be on the level of the best players in the game, and I think that specific issue is keeping her from there. And I don't think any of the issues you're talking about with Clark are keeping her from there, because she's already there. Okay.
And so one thing with the fan base is that, like, the focus. I don't know if I can go through your channel and see, but I can go through anybody that talks to the W or women's basketball and see 6 videos that's going to have the narrative, her field goal percentage, shooting around basket. Those same fans are, I'm Clark or die. Woo, I'm Caitlin Clark fan. 0 videos about her 3-point shooting percentage, right? Her turnovers, her mid-range game. There is no critiques on these same people that will do 20, 30 videos about. And let's not even forget,
people are putting out wild videos about Angel Reese too.
But even somebody like
out wild video, but I don't think but I see it. I mean, I see first of all, the rumor things, the things that aren't true, or just like the Angel Reese engagement hate videos. I mean, like, they're out there, no question. Again, that was part of the point I was trying to.
And I noticed it. I noticed your video. I knew where you were going with what you did. So I wasn't somebody that was really fighting you. I knew where you were going. And just, again, from her fan base perspective, is just like, there can be your whole hour video and never once the turnovers get brought up, or never once the mid-range game needs to improve gets brought up.
Sure, but you're comparing much more difficult shots to layups. Like, right? Like, I mean,
okay, then we can go into
Caitlin Clark finishes around the basket better than Angel Reese finishes around the basket.
At the same clip that Caitlin Clark is the 3-point queen, but she's 30% from out there?
34%, I believe.
34% from out there, right?
Well, not terrible. But she should
improve. We can go through
the number go up a little bit. You want to see the number go up a little bit, but it wasn't terrible.
So you get what I'm saying as a fan, like, especially you, because you're really, like I said, you're the closest to non-biased pretty much out there. Yeah. And so somebody like you were like, okay, I'm getting into the video, but okay, Angel Reese is finished. Angel Reese is finished. Just like, and Caitlin Clark, she's doing a press. She just put out a video with Breonna Turner. Great. And it's like, wait, you hit Angel 5 times. I'm just saying that's how fans feel. You hit Angel 5 times. So now I don't want to hear about Caitlin Clark, because all praise when there's, like I said, the shooting percentage, the turnover, whatever you want to bring up.
I get that from a Clark-centric channel that is only bringing up Angel Reese to attack and bash Angel Reese. The way I try to do it is I talk about things that I think are relevant and that I think are worthy of discussing, that are things I want to discuss.
Right.
Clearly, yeah. And a lot of this started, I mean, I've never lied about this. A lot of this started when I was trying to find the lane, and then I saw how popular that was, and right. how my imagination was captured by her play, right? Like it once was by LeBron. I was called a LeBron stan in the past, and it was greatness. To me, it was like I watched her play, and that she is it. Like, she is the truth. And then all these people also were interested. We've seen the phenomenon. We've seen the growth. And I sort of set that as the North Star while building around that. But I never thought to be like, I'm going to pick on Angel Reese on anything else. When I talk about Angel Reese, it's because I think Angel Reese won Defensive Player of the Year. That's a worthy topic.
I would love to have the topic.
But I did do that topic.
And you did.
Yeah.
And because you were a voter, right? You were a voter.
Yeah.
And I think she deserved to be there. Everybody, I mean, basketball is a little different than just like picking, defensive steals and blocks. Like, come on, she led the number one defensive team in the league. She was the anchor for that. Had no other center for probably 6 games. If you look at Fee against Angel shot percentage, if you look at Stewie, you look at when she was going against Ryan Howard, everybody for some reason had the worst game going against her. So yes, Fee had more blocks and more steals, but that's not all defense. That's not. And then the players and the coaches clearly agreed.
Oh, she has a great defensive versatility too. Angel's hands-on. One thing that really stood out to me at Unrivaled, where aside from forgetting the layups for a second, because we like beating a dead horse, right? But yes, she needs to. But one thing was her hands on the perimeter, and then the fact that she took it in transition, like kind of like a Giannis sort of deal, right? She took the ball on the steal and went in transition, and she's an underrated passer. I think Angel Reese is an underrated passer. She sees the floor well. She's a smart basketball player, and that sort of stuff stood out to me. But yeah, I mean, I don't think she's like a force on the interior defensively, but she's strong and she plays hard. She obviously rebounds, which I don't know if you technically want to call it defense, but that ends the possession when you rebound it. And then she's very good and quick on the perimeter with her hands. So I think I got no issues with calling Angel a great defender.
Okay, yeah. I just think like the pushback, people just threw those two stats, and I'm like, bro, even if you just watch, you see, oh yeah, she's super effective on the defensive end. And again, people beat her down for winning an award. This is another point. It's like she won an award.
No. I don't think she should have gotten any pushback for winning the award. I think part of the reaction the other day was maybe because people were like beating their chest so much about the championship, and then people were like, she didn't play in the semifinals and the finals. You know, like. Because let's put the shoe on the other foot. If Clark had the same thing had happened and Clark didn't play, people would say she got carried to a championship or whatever in order to discredit. You know, that's what the extreme basis.
I'm just 1,000% fair. If it was on the other foot, I'm like, yeah, Clark deserved it. She deserved, just like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar deserved the championship that Magic Johnson had to step in and play center, right? Yeah. Hey, he still deserves the win.
No. Last thing for you. What made you such an Angel Reese fan? Like, where did that start? What's the origin story for it?
Man, I've been a fan of college hoops. I can pull it up. I followed Angel Reese 2019 after a slam ball game because I was watching for Juju. I'm from the West Coast. I was watching for Juju. She was like probably a freshman, and Angel was like the big dog in the slam basketball game. I think Haley might have been in there. A whole lot of the people we talk about now were in this game. And I was like, that girl, there's something different because she was her. She was unapologetic. She was talking. Yeah. And so I've been following her since then. So I just became a fan then. And I'm just a fan of the game. I remember my first time seeing Caitlin. I text my brother, here's the link. There is a female Jimmer Fredette. She was that game.
Well, she's a lot better than that. No, I think the problem is people watching.
Though, right?
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. I think
she was doing like, who was this Pink Iowa team and who was this girl shooting from half court? The same way we seen with Jimmer was like, wait, who is this guy with no haircut beating my San Diego State?
No, I hear you. I think one of the things though with Caitlin I bring up is I think with the media, they thought it was going to be more like Tim Tebow when it turned out more like Michael Jordan, you know, like as far as the staying power and the actual impact rather than the flash in the pan. But when they're on that Olympic team together, man, and you throw Paige Beckers and Juju Watkins and maybe Fee on that team, that is going to be like the stuff documentaries are made of, I think.
I always say they would be the perfect teammates. It would just, if they had time to gel as teammates, they're the yin and the yang. It's just, it becomes whole.
There you go. Well, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, peace, as the lower third said. AJ, appreciate it, man. You can hang out while I go through the chat if you want, or go about your day, whatever you want to do. Let me go to the super chats. Kevin Zwicker says, love this conversation and different points of views. Appreciate you as always, Kevin. Brandon Sleep says, y'all see CC in the lab with Bree today? Yeah, you must have missed the beginning of the video. I do have another video on that coming up a little bit later, so you can check out for that. But yeah, I think, to the turnover point, AJ, that is one of those things where getting a Natasha Howard who can run, catch, and finish, and a Brianna Turner and DeWanna Bonner, I think those are the things that are going to the Fever are going to get a lot of easy buckets as a result of that.
Yeah, I think in that same mindset, I think right now, and this is not disrespect, I think right now she's sitting in a Steve Nash position to where if she gets the right people around her, it's gonna be like unstoppable. If Steve Nash had almost the right crew to go win, but I think at this point it's Caitlin's closer to her ceiling, not in a bad way, that they can build around it now. It's just like, oh, we don't have to wait for any more development from her. We need to get somebody that can catch. It's so much more important right now for her. Somebody that can catch and shoot is so much more important for her So I feel like she's like in that Steve Nash place to where it's like build the right people. I'm excited to see it. Build the right people, and that thing, because Caitlin's like one of the only people that can make sure her team gets 100 points a game. Like, it's unbelievable. And even going back to like the LSU game, like people Angela only had 15 points. Yeah, that was a run and gun game. Them girls was flying and shooting threes, and that's because Caitlin Clark was just pushing the pace. That's why she beat South Carolina, because they didn't have the Alexis Morrisons, and they didn't have the girl with the yellow hair. I forget her name. What they call it, LSU Ice Spice. They like LSU. They have the people that can run and gun.
Tay Boogie says, "Is the defensive gap as big as the offensive?" So I thought it was interesting when Cheryl Miller said that Caitlin Clark was a better defender than she gets credit for. I think where Caitlin is a smart player, so she's good at help defense. I think when she gets like man to man, she can really hold her own. She's strong. I think where she struggled a little bit is like quick lateral defensive plays, but she actually blocked a lot of shots, got a lot of steals. So I wouldn't call her a great defender right now, but I wouldn't call her a defensive liability either. So do I think no, I don't think I don't think the defensive gap is as big, but of course I would give Angel the edge as a defensive player right now. You got an opinion on that one?
I'll roll with you on that one. I get what you're saying. It's one of the ones I really would need to think about, but like you said, it's just when you get on that island, if it's somebody quick, which unfortunately there's not a lot of that in the league, people that can really break Caitlin down, then but
that's part of the that's also part of, I think, her influence in where we're headed here. Not just, and it's not, it's what other people are running with, but it had been for so long a big dominated league. And, even historically, I mean, if you look at like who are the great guards or, even wings in WNBA history, it's a short list compared to yeah. And now it's all these guards that we're talking about. It's Caitlin and then Paige and then Juju and Hannah. All the guards are coming up, which is going to help continue to grow the game because fans relate more to guards than others.
Yeah, I keep telling everybody in the league now better hurry up and win. Because this next wave of athletes, even the bigs, Malonga's overseas dunking in games, and like the next wave is going to be challenging. They're going to try to scoop these older players out the league a lot earlier than before.
All right, y'all, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. Get your comments in. I'll continue to work through some of the comments. I do have to get my son to basketball practice before too long here. I'm always running between one thing or the next thing. But we got my man Ernesto says, good afternoon, Robin. Eric says, love it. KDB says, I love that CC's in the gym with her new teammates, build that chemistry. Let me get to some of the comments about what we were discussing here. None of these cursing me out or us out or anybody out or trying to stir. It's always hard. I need a moderator for the chat, dude, because that's all. You got like
the Reese jump in.
Pharaoh X is always saying the South Carolina Gamecocks are going to win it all. Big time fan there. Nancy
who do you have? Who's your college?
I'm picking UConn because of Sarah Strong. She's solid, Sarah. She is solid. A talent.
She's solid.
She is
solid.
Yeah, like
I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying I think it. There's a lot of teams that could win it, and they're hardly unbeatable. But Paige is playing at her best right now. AZ Fudd is healthy, and then I'm not so sure. Like by the end of the tournament, we're not looking at Sarah Strong as like the best all around player in the country.
Agreed. This is one of the years where it's like I have no idea. I have no idea who's going to take this. For a while, we've been like, okay, it's probably Gamecocks. Paige went down. It's probably going to be the Gamecocks. It's probably going to be again. Now it's just like I think every team has gotten a loss that we didn't see coming, and it shows a lot of vulnerability. So I think this tournament is going to be great.
It's funny whenever I see the people that say they're either tired of a topic or they're checking out or whatever, and then I look at the views and they indicate the opposite. So just to let everybody know, there's definitely a lot of interest in the discussion. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on in particular to add a opposing voice, or not even opposing. It's not like I'm taking an ops position, but you know what I mean? A different point of view, a different perspective on the topic. man, this
Do
guy
you want to
works.
see the two sides? Do you want to see the two sides come to peace, or is it more interesting when we have these?
I think it's all.
parallel-
I want to see it be a healthy rivalry, and like I don't think it's ever going to be peace and like kumbaya, right? Like no, that's never
Right.
going to happen. I just get tired of the. I don't want the nonsense. Like I don't want
Exactly.
like the extra stuff that gets thrown in where people are calling names or they're bringing like race into the discussion where it doesn't belong. You know, like that's the sort of stuff I get, or just attacking me out of, you know, or anybody that talks out of nowhere without actually like listening to a point of view or trolling constantly. You can never get rid of that when there's more people. Like I said, the more people there are, the more trolls they're going to be. But I like good old fashioned hoops hate and hoops rivalry and hoops talk. I got no problem with that.
Yeah. That's one thing I'm big. I don't. You told me you didn't see the video. I kind of went viral for going after one of the YouTube guys because it was like, bro, you're not talking basketball. You're talking everything else, and that's one thing that really bothers me. And like even people say, I don't understand this. I want your opinion on this. I have one question. I know you're going through the comments. Yeah. Do you think people truly dislike Caitlin because she's white? I don't get that point at all.
I think it has so very little to do with it. Like I can never, whenever you like look at context of things, right? You can never just dismiss it being no factor whatsoever. Like, you know, I use Eminem as an example. You know, Eminem took a long time to get in. It was probably harder for him to break in because he was white in a black dominated genre. But he did it by skill. And then being white probably helped him sell more because he had a bunch of kids who related to him who went over and bought the records that were buying Metallica records or something at the time. I don't even think it's to that degree with Caitlin because there's a few things that push back on that, right? One, the WNBA and women's basketball has had a lot of great white players. In fact, proportionately, relative to like the NBA or that side, there are way more great white players. Secondly, like I never thought about, like I never watched Caitlin Clark and thought, look at that white girl go. I was like, look at that, you know, she is a baller and a hooper. And that's where it spread initially, is how great she was playing. I didn't hear any of that come in until she got outsized attention than anybody had ever gotten in the sport before. And then the Reese dynamic got introduced, and it was a natural, this isn't Reese's fault or Clark's fault, but because like places like CNN or Outkick or whatever got a hold of that, and they started,
and the White House,
and they started throwing it into the universe. And then let's be real, some of the players too, I think, overreacted to things that were either said online or the stuff Asia Wilson said. I didn't think helped, but all of that was just noise. No, I don't. Bottom line is no. I think Caitlin Clark, the overwhelming reason for her popularity is basketball. I think basketball. I think a lot of dudes came over. You remember the Bill Burr bit where he said, you know, the WNBA, you know, we're watching our sports. We can't go support your sports too. You got to do that work for yourself. I think a lot of dudes and a lot of NBA fans came over because of Caitlin Clark.
I agree. It was that style of play too. Is like, oh, this is what we've been praising on our side, and we can praise somebody with that style of play on this side, because we already started looking for the next Steph Curry. We tried to find it in Trae Young when he first came in. So now on the other side, wait, we got that. And we've seen Angel before. We've seen a big that is finishing around the rim. It'd be different if she was shooting threes, probably be a little more, you know what I mean? So I think it was a lot of that. But my question was like the negatives. Does race pay? Do you think race plays on the hatred side for Caitlin? I hear the narrative like, oh, it's because she's a white straight girl. And it's just like, in my heart, I'm like, wait, what? Well, Sabrina's my favorite player in the league. So that would never be the reason.
No, I think it's been weaponized. Right? Like, because Caitlin Clark has a ton of black fans. A ton of them. And the way I always look at it is this: when you're really being real about it, because you never go into a stadium and hear people go, Caitlin Clark's only popular because she's white. They're cheering. The people who are filling those stadiums and setting those ratings records are not doing all this garbage nonsense and discourse. What happened was, because there is more people following, there's more people chatting about it online, and the people either at ESPN or wherever else signal, and including some WNBA players, signal boosted that narrative that was such a small percentage of the overall picture. So no, I think race has so actual little to do with it. And if we remove that element from it, I think the debate would get a lot healthier, because people don't feel like they're they need to be on a certain side or they need to tiptoe around the discussion and we can just have an actual basketball talk.
Well, we can't make them both purple. We can make them both purple. It might be a better place, because I do think on the other side, I think a lot of hate from the loud people comes because of Angel skin tone. Because you can go through some of those same people's channels, and it's like all the negative is just about the black women. All the and a lot of people, that's where a lot of the hatred, or not the hate, that's where a lot of the Angel fans get upset with the narratives. Is just like those same people are not doing nothing. It's the hit list is Angel, Dejanay, Asia, Melissa Smith jumped on there real quick for them, and it's
I think again that's like there's sometimes a comment like, look, I think some people are again being complete opportunists about that, and yes, they are rage baiting for sure. At the same time, some of them are putting things out into the universe that are like Dejanay, I think would stir stuff up by tweeting after games, right? Asia had some comments throughout the course of the season that people could latch onto. Nalissa was dating Dejanay while on the Fever, while fighting with Fever fans online. Angel is unapologetically Angel, so sometimes she's going to say stuff that's easy to discuss and debate and banter about. But yeah, I think to what you're saying, there's definitely some of that. How much of it is race plus the personality type, or just knowing that they can stir it up and be instigators in that regard. But yes, I do think there is a cottage industry of going after that particular group of players.
Yeah, I agree, and it's opportunities. If you go back and look, dude was covering Star Wars, and now they're the biggest WNBA talking heads, and you're just like, wait, that's why I like you. It's like, this dude is actually talking the game. It's like you were talking Star Wars 6 months ago. Now people are pushing the narrative.
Crank that 22. The only thing I hate is people discrediting CC for not winning a championship, taking an Iowa team who's not a true blue blood school back-to-back as underdogs. That's another thing. Like when even ESPN did this the other day. They titled a video, "Is Caitlin Clark the greatest women's college basketball player of all time?" That was the title. She's in the thumbnail. Then they have her on the top 5, and then they remove her from the top 5. Don't even include her in the top 5. So like that's using her in the same way that you're talking about, because
absolutely.
You also have to have context. Like, she didn't win a championship, and that's the only argument I need, Sean. Yeah, but flip positions. How many players are getting Iowa to the national championship other than Caitlin Clark? And how many titles does Caitlin Clark have if she played at, say, UConn?
Yeah. I can't even fight you on that. I totally agree with everything. What she did was incredible, and it was great for the sport. I hope we can get this energy again coming into this tournament.
No, I think the tournament's going to be great. I think the difference between the men's tournament and the women's tournament is that the men's tournament is almost like a decrescendo, where once people's brackets are busted and everything, they wind up checking out. But the women's tournament is more of a crescendo because there's actually more star power on the women's side. Both in the coaches, Gina Auriemma, Dawn Staley, Kim Mulkey, and in the players, obviously, you've got Paige, you've got Juju. I think you got Hannah to a certain degree. Maybe Lauren Betts continues to grow as a star. Tanaya Latson maybe has a little bit of a coming out party. Flaugier.
I got to give a shout out to Harmony. Is her last name
Turner? Harmony Turner, Harvard. Yeah,
man, Harvard. She is special, man. Huge shout out to her. She's so special.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. There is so many chats, my man. Make sure you join the Hoopin Havoc contest. You should join after this. $10 entry fee. You will get your share of $500. Pick against me. It's just predictions for the first week of the NCAA tournament. We'll track the leaderboard and all that. I do have to pick up my kids from school and basketball, and I'll get to more chats on the next one, guys, because I just don't know how I can even get through all of these today. But I appreciate you coming on, man. I think a healthy debate, much respect. I like I said, I had, there was some reaction to yesterday's show. I saw you in my chat. I went and looked at some of your videos, and I thought you'd be the perfect perspective to come on. So I hope you had a good time.
Oh man, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me, bro. It was fun. This is so new for me. So stuff popping out of my head. I can't remember what to say, but I was just excited for the opportunity, man. Anytime you want to have me, I will jump on the call. I love hoops, man.
Tell people where they can find you, so they can find, if they're interested to find you.
I'm on Twitter as I'll name this X, because it means I'll name it later, because I didn't know what to call it. And then I'm on social media as AJ, and then Ewings, EWINGS, like Patrick Ewings, but I have an S. So AJ Ewings. And if you see me on Instagram, you're going to see a lot of real estate content, but that's how you can find me, man. I'm easy to find. Never hiding from it. I'm not hiding under a fake account. My face is here.
All right. There you go, man. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you, brother.
You got it. Yeah, I just thought that was worth, I know a little bit of a deviation, but I'm going to try and bring some more perspectives and guests on the show as well to mix it up a little bit. I'll get back to the chat more on the next one. But as always, guys, very much appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Give the thumbs up. Element Gold said, you did good, man. I think he's talking to AJ. Good communication skills, comfortable with yourself. I dig that. Completely disagree with a lot, but still good guest. Hopefully that was the general sentiment. I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Appreciate it. We still got a lot of people in the chat, but I got to get my son, my youngest, I got to pick up from school, who's still at school. And then my oldest, I got to get to basketball. So I just don't think I have any more time. So until the next one, guys, you